On February 15, 2013, at 9:20 a.m. local time, residents of the city of Chelyabinsk, Russia witnessed something few humans have ever seen: an asteroid exploding in the atmosphere. It became known as the Chelyabinsk meteor, and thanks to the popularity of dashcam videos in Russia, it became one of the most well-documented meteor strikes in human history. It was the size of a 6-story building and hit the atmosphere at 64,000 kilometers per hour, roughly 40,000 miles per hour, exploding about 19 to 24 kilometers in the atmosphere. And this explosion was massive, shattering windows for hundreds of miles and injuring 1,200 people. For a brief moment, it was brighter than the sun. By the way, actually, this makes it what's called a bolide. That's the technical term for any meteor that shines brighter than Venus in the sky, which this one definitely did. In fact, it was picked up on monitors as far away as Antarctica. Okay, so Russia is here. Antarctica is here. The energy released exceeded 470 kilotons of TNT. For perspective, that's 30 to 40 times bigger than the bomb that hit Hiroshima. And speaking of nuclear explosions, the Nuclear Detonation Network, which is operated by the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, said it was the largest explosion ever recorded in its history. Yeah, this meteor was no joke, and maybe the scariest thing about it was that astronomers had no idea it was coming. It caught everyone completely by surprise. Don't think about that too much. Yeah, ironically, on the day that the asteroid hit, astronomers are actually watching another asteroid called 2012 DA14, which was passing within 27,000 kilometers of Earth. And then, the Chelyabinsk meteor hit from a completely different direction. They were totally unrelated. But even Chelyabinsk pales in comparison to the Tunguska meteor that struck Siberia in 1908. That one flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of forest. It was not, however, picked up on any nuclear detection systems, or Antarctic sensors, or dash cams. Experts are still trying to figure out why. The point is, booms happen, and the bigger the boom, the more evidence is left behind from that boom. That is usually the case. And then there's what happened at Bell Island. On the morning of Sunday, April 2nd, 1978, 12-year-old Darren Bickford was out for a ride on his bike. When 11 o'clock rolled around, he raced home to catch his favorite show on TV. And when he reached the end of his driveway, a sudden stillness filled the air. Birds and other animals went quiet, and then, according to Darren, quote, "It's like a shotgun blast, followed by a ball of light, and then followed immediately after the second ball. The ground shook underneath me. It was the biggest noise I'd ever heard in my life." He described the hovering ball of light as a beautiful mixture of blue, orange, and yellow. Darren was terrified, but transfixed. He watched the colors swirl for several seconds before it disappeared, imprinting a memory that would last for the rest of his life. Now, Darren's experience was more vivid than what a lot of his neighbors experienced, but it was far from unique. People reported seeing strange lights, odd electrical phenomena, and most of all, a loud sound that could be heard as far away as 100 kilometers. The center of those reports was Bell Island. It's a small island in Newfoundland, Canada's Conception Bay, and that event has come to be known as the Bell Island boom. Yeah, because of the noise. In case that wasn't obvious. Several residents of Conception Bay reported seeing a beam of light that hit Bell Island immediately before the boom. Some said they saw a ball of light in the front of the beam. Some reported hearing a bell-like tone before the boom. Bell-like, that's on brand. And then there were the fireballs. Not in the air, actually, but in their houses, because their fuses blew out. Yeah, a powerful electrical surge accompanied the event, so powerful that plastic insulation melted off the power lines in some places. In one home, the fuses exploded so violently, glass embedded itself on the opposite wall. That was Darren Bickford's grandfather, actually. But ground zero for all this weirdness seemed to be the Bickford farm, where Darren lived. One of their barns blew down and they lost some chickens. I should clarify, the chickens didn't just disappear, they died, so it's not that weird. And it's still pretty bad if you're one of the chickens, I guess. Although it is kind of weird because there weren't any burn marks on the chickens, or on the wood of the barn for that matter, and there were strange divots found in the snow nearby. They ranged in size from a rabbit hole to around 4 feet across. Like, if this was a comic book, Darren probably would have found a ring or a stone in one of these holes that gained superpowers, Now, as far as we know, that didn't happen, but I'm watching you, Darren. Investigations were made. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police sent a fire investigator, presumably on horseback. After the Mounties, other officials took a look. Some were Canadian, some came from far away, including a pair of American scientists from the Los Alamos National Laboratory named John Warren and Robert Freeman. So I got curious about these guys and was able to find that they had done some publications in the Los Alamos Research Publications from 1978 to 1981. So it looks like Warren was interested in nuclear energy. He actually posted several articles in Reactor Technology, their publication. But Freeman, he only posted a couple of times. Once as a co-author for a paper titled Measurements of Long-Delayed Radio Echoes in the Auroral Zone from 1981, total banger. And the other one is on a patent for Interrogation and Detection System. Sounds sinister, not enough to make it on a tier list though. It has a telemetering apparatus, modulated signal, yada yada, rectifier, implanted beneath the skin of a living animal. What? Yeah, this was an early dog chip. Yeah, Freeman was one of the early pioneers in RFID technology, so those little anti-theft squares that you see in books, tap-to-pay technology, he was one of the guys behind all that. But in 1978, he was investigating unexplained phenomena on a small island in Canada. By the way, you might be asking, how do these guys even know about this boom? Did somebody call? Did Darren Bickman summon him with his newfound superpowers? No. They saw it in a satellite photo. Yeah, this thing was so bright it was seen from space. Actually by the Vela satellite, which was launched to detect nuclear explosions. Yeah, remember how Warren worked on nuclear energy? But they were able to rule out a secret atomic bomb pretty quickly since there was barely any actual damage to the area, and eventually speculated that it might have just been an unusually powerful bolt of lightning. There are those who disagree with this theory, though, namely, people who saw it. No way that was lightning, according to Millie Bickford. Yeah, there's a lot of Bickfords on Bell Island. Actually, there's an unincorporated town called Bickfordville. Okay, so if it wasn't a nuclear explosion and it wasn't oversized lightning, what was it? As you can imagine, there are many theories. Because as it happens, the Bell Island boom was actually just one of a whole series of similar booms reported all the way up and down the east coast of North America between 1977 and 1978. Yeah, I did a video a little while back on skyquakes. These are explosions that seem to have no particular cause and happen regularly in some places. Just some random unexplained booms. It's a thing. Now, the difference between skyquakes and the mystery booms of 77 and 78 was the frequency. So an environmental scientist named Gordon MacDonald looked into about 600 of these booms, and it turns out that 2 out of 3 had a pretty simple explanation: supersonic jets. Yeah, it turns out the Concorde had started flying commercial passengers in 1976. Probably not a coincidence. But that still leaves 1/3 of those booms unexplained. The US Navy speculated it might be due to strange atmospheric effects that carried the booms of military aircraft from really far away. Kind of like an audio version of the ghost lights that I talked about last week. Might explain some of them. But the Bell Island incident was different for a lot of reasons. For one thing, sonic booms can damage property, but we're talking about breaking some panels of glass, not knocking down buildings and frying electrical grids. They also generally don't cause, flashes that set off nuclear bomb detectors in space. An earthquake is a possibility. It could knock a building down, or even a giant chunk of rock falling into the sea, because that has actually happened on Bell Island before. Fairly recently, actually, in April of 2019, residents heard a sound like thunder and felt the ground rumble, and thousands of tons of rock had fallen in a landslide into the sea. One resident described the sound as an explosion. And that fits with what people heard in 1978, and earthquakes can cause power surges, actually. Granted, there's not usually strong enough to melt electrical cables, but still. Unfortunately, there was no debris from an earthquake or a landslide back in 1978, so that was ruled out. Besides, there's also that giant flash thing. So, in absence of a simple answer, here's where the theories get a bit more fun. Okay, so this was 1978. It was the middle of the Cold War, and there were 2 scientists from a U.S. nuclear research facility that visited right after it happened, so Cold War shenanigans? I mean, I could see it. Of course, the first thought that comes to mind is that it's some kind of secret atomic bomb, and maybe the scientists were there to cover it up. Or maybe it was some other kind of secret bomb, like an E-bomb. This was proposed in a 2004 documentary called The Invisible Machine, that basically the US was working on a bomb designed just to knock out electrical equipment. A giant electromagnetic pulse, basically. The filmmakers speculate that it might have been extra powerful on Bell Island because Bell Island actually has a lot of copper and iron mines in the area. And then there's an experimental program called HAARP. HAARP stands for the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Now, officially, HAARP is a research program run by the University of Alaska Fairbanks. It consists of a high-power radio transmitter and a bunch of measuring equipment. Basically, they zap the sky and see what happens. Now, its stated purpose is to test how the ionosphere reflects radio waves. But of course, conspiracy theorists have used it for all kinds of over-the-top experiments, from mind control to weaponizing weather. The problem with that theory is that HAARP didn't actually exist in 1978. But people who believe this theory think that it might have been some kind of earlier device, maybe some kind of proto-HARP design, something that created a monster EMP in the ionosphere that then got drawn down to Bell Island because of its, particular geology, all those iron ore mines and whatnot. The effect would have been like a massive lightning strike, or several lightning strikes, all happening very fast, which does kind of match the reports from the people on Bell Island, so kind of plausible? Of course, if it's plausible that some secret military operation caused these massive lightning strikes, then it's probably just as plausible that it's, just massive lightning strikes. Which is exactly what those experts from Los Alamos suggested when they were there in the first place. So we're full circle now. Of course, the problem with the lightning bolt theory is that, lightning goes off all around the world all the time, and they don't generally set off nuclear weapons detectors. Right? Actually, some do. And they were discovered by that same Vela satellite that caught the Bell Island boom. Like, scientists didn't even know this was a thing until it showed up in the Vela photos. And it's called, wait for it, a superbolt. Hey, when the scientists get the name right, they really get it right. Superbolts are super rare, especially over land, but they're hundreds of times brighter than a normal lightning strike, sometimes thousands of times brighter. Superbolts carry trillions of watts of optical power. And as we all know, an average lightning bolt carries
1.21 gigawatts.
A blast from a superbolt could explain nearly every detail of the eyewitness reports. The damage at the Bickford farm was actually pretty mild compared to what a superbolt can do. Even the deaths of the chickens can be explained as heart attacks caused by electric shock. But what about those balls of light that people keep talking about? If you're thinking ball lightning, so am I. So I covered ball lightning in a video a while back. There's a ton of theories around what could possibly cause them, but one of those theories is that especially powerful lightning can basically superheat certain elements in the air and the ground and create essentially orbs of plasma. And now I'm talking about glowing orbs again. How many old videos of mine can I reference here? So ball lightning is not completely understood, but it is a thing. It is a thing that happens. So yeah, if we're going to Occam's razor this thing, the most likely answer is it was a superbolt. Yeah, I know, wah wah, that's the most boring answer ever. I know I'm the wet towel here, but look, if it's too boring for you, just keep in mind that now you know that sometimes there are lightning bolts as powerful as nuclear weapons that just happen randomly. Feel better? Look, nature does crazy things sometimes. Do you know it rained fish in Texarkana a couple years ago? The point is, there are forces at work around us in the world that we don't understand. About 45 years ago, one struck a tiny island. And here we are still talking about it. So real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to the Nighttime podcast. They actually did an outstanding 3-part series on Bell Island that we listened to for this video. One of them includes an interview with Cynthia Bickford. So many Bickfords on this island. It's well worth a listen. Go check it out if you want to know more about the boom. Now, one place you don't want to go boom is in your gut, and that's why I'm a fan of today's sponsor, Factor.
Right. Way to go.
You did
Good
it.
job.
Hey, remember food? You know how some food tastes really good, but it makes you feel bad later? And some food makes you feel good, but it takes a lot of work to make, so it makes you feel bad about having to cook it? Well, what if there was a food that tastes good, makes you feel good, and is as easy as misspelling the word medieval? Well, I've got good news for you. That's what Factor's all about. Factor makes delicious, ready-to-eat meals that heat up in the microwave in just 2 minutes because sometimes that's all you have. Plus, they deliver it right to your door so you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to buy any ingredients, it's all just right there. Saves you time all around. It's less expensive than the delivery app, guys, and it's healthy, with each meal being designed by dietitians working along with world-class chefs. And you can pick from a variety of meal options based on your own dietary needs. Keto to Calorie Smart, vegan and veggie, and Protein Plus. And every time you order, they have 34 plus meals to choose from, and you can supplement that with up to 45 add-ons. So there's a lot of options. Yeah, pro tip, get the smoothies. They're amazing, and they disappear immediately in this house. So seriously, if you're trying to get a handle on your eating habits, whether it's to save money or to be healthier, it really is a great option. I think you'll be surprised at how good they are. And because you're cool enough to stick around on the ad read, Factor's offering you 50% off your first box to give it a try. Just go to factor75.com and enter JoeScott50. That's only because you're so cool. So be cool. Anyway, one more time, it's factor75.com, promo code JoeScott50. You get half off your first box, and you will love every bite, I promise. Links down below. Big thanks to the Answer Files on Patreon and the YouTube members who are forming an awesome community and being an awesome part of this whole thing, helping to keep the lights on around here. It is increasingly more important to find funding sources outside of YouTube. So guys, can't thank you enough. I do have some new members I want to shout out real quick. We've got Is It 1984, DJ Vaz, The Vegan Yogi, Kiki ID, Dwayne Fentiman, Alistair Snow, Bruhaha, Stuart Forsyth, and Duncan Hunter. Thank you guys so much. If you would like to join them, get early access to videos and get access to exclusive live streams and get a little button next to your name to make you stand out in the comments, just hit the little join button right down below this video. Please do like and share this video if you liked it, and if this is your first time here, there's the little thing I'm gonna put up right here. You can click on it and watch another video. Google thinks you'll like that one. Or you can go look on the sidebar if you're watching on your browser. Any of those thumbnails that have my little face on them, give them a look. And if you enjoy them, I invite you to subscribe. I come back with new videos every Monday. Also, the shirt, if you like it, is available at thatjoescott.com. All these shirts on the store, they help support the channel, and they're cool. I mean, I saw that this was in the store, and I had to get one for myself. I just thought it was a lot of fun. All right, that's it for now. You guys go out there, have an eye-opening rest of the week. Stay safe, and I'll see you next Monday. Love you guys. Take care.